the security concepts. Okay. Any other question? Did I cover all the questions? Okay. Okay. So let's go next. This is the number that you should always remember, that more than 80% breaches involve the human element. Okay. How? Phishing, weak pass scanning my each and every lines for secrets, that none of the secrets are going with the code. Okay. Just with this single element, it takes sometimes 10 to 15 minutes just to scan my code, always, because I always want a deep scan. Now, these 15 minutes are wasted, but this boring work is required to prevent the future incidents. So whenever you do the development, make sure proper comments. I know people don't like the comments, but make sure to do comments, proper comments. Make sure that nothing you are sending which is not actually relevant to the code. Okay. More modular, that is also one of the key part to remember. Attacker's playbook. So now, even if you go and study the CEH, that is Certified Ethical Hacker, or a security analyst course, these 5 key points will always be there. Recon, access, escalate, persist, and act. This is how any of the attackers work. First, they try to scan what is there. Okay, just like in the initial example, we spoke about the GitHub. People keep searching, or the attackers keep looking for the access key and the password, or access key and the secret. Okay, that is one of the recon part. Once they get that details, what will they do? They will try to access. Okay. Once they access, then they will try to, the next step will be the escalation of the privilege. So let's say, for example, if I have one EC2 instance username and password, I will try to access the user, that EC2 instance. Then I will try to see if my privileges let me create a new user or not. If it is letting me create a new user, I will check if it is letting me create or assign the rights or not. Once it can let me assign the rights, that's where the story will start, because I will directly take the admin access. Once I get the admin access, what will I do? I will create some more users. Okay, so next part is, once all those users are there, I will do what I need to do. Like, let's say, for example, if attacker may create the very big instances for the Bitcoin. Attacker may create some of the phishing websites from your server itself. Attacker may try to clone your database. Okay, so these are the 5 basic steps, and that's how any of the attacks work in the world. Okay. Defense in the depth. So we always call the security as a onion security. Usually what you need to do, you have to make layers of security. You cannot rely on a single security itself. You cannot say that, oh, I am using web application firewall, means I don't need the rate limiting at my code level. No, you need it. So basically, like, let's say, for example, I think 3 years or 4 years back, in one of the company where I was working, where we got, I think, 1 Tbps DDoS attack on the server. So when this big level of attack was there, we were using one of the biggest CDN provider. Okay, they were able to protect us up to 90%. Only 10% was a spillover. With this 10% spillover, all the web servers went down. Here, the developers' thinking was, as we are using the defense at the first layer, we don't need anything on the web server level. We don't need anything on the application layer level. Okay. So usually when it comes to the security, you should start with the basics, network. So in the network level, we have firewalls. Okay, we have to make sure that we are putting all the, you have a network isolations with VPC. Okay, you are creating proper security groups, and then you have also NACL, that is network access control list. Okay, usually in most of the configurations, people just go with three parts, that is firewall, VPC, and the security group. NACL, I have not seen that people are actively using it, but they must. Okay, then identity, that is IAM. We have to define who can do what. Also, we have to make sure that there are two-factor authentications available, and also we define the roles, and never give any user individual roles. Usually you should create groups, and within the groups you should give the access permissions. Okay, then at the application layer, you also have to put the input validation source code. Also, you have to make sure that it's a secure, and then you have to also do the dependency scanning. On top of that, as we spoke, if you have a web server, you should also have a rate limiting on the web server level as well. Also validation at the web server level as well. So like, let's say, for example, if you are using Nginx, so Nginx also comes with, or on Nginx, you can also use the OASP filter. You can do that. So now let's say, for example, if the request is coming from your CDN, which is providing WAF as well, if somehow it bypass the first layer, your second layer should be able to stop it. If your second layer at the your web server level, it is not able to do anything, next part is still at the server side validation should be there even before executing. So you have client side validation, you have the your CDN validation or the web validation, then you have your own web server validation, then you have your application layer or the server level validation. The more validations you have, the more secure you are. Data, so you have to make sure encryption at rest and the transit is there. You are also using the KMS and the tokenization systems. Monitoring, if we are on AWS, you have to make sure that you always monitor what is happening on the CloudTrail, GuardDuty. Also, you should put some of the alarms and the incident response that you have to prepare. We will, like, at the end when we see that what happened with the Capital One, at that time we will explore it a little bit more. Okay, for each and every layer. Any questions up to this point? All okay? Okay. 5 principles that will show up everywhere. Okay, list privilege. List privilege means give only access what that particular identity requires. Identity here means a user or application. Okay, don't give anything more. Defense in depth, so you have to control like the one that we spoke. Then fail securely. When something breaks, it should not give like more information. Like earlier when we use like I used to develop, I used to do the development on ASP.NET, and in ASP.NET by default the debug information was there always. Where I'm talking about year 2005, 2004, 5, 6, something during that period. You have to make the debug false within the web.config file. Most of the time during that period, people were not doing it. What will happen? You will know where the application is. You will know what is the IP address. If you are lucky enough, you will see the database connection string printed in the error message. Okay. So we have to make sure that when the failure happens, we are handling failure properly. Nowadays, what you can do is, like, let's say, for example, if application is throwing 403 message, right, or 502 message, verify at the web server layer. And then what you can do is you can reprint the page with only limited information, or you just give some customized page, not the information that customer or the end user should see. Zero trust, don't trust anything, even the packages, even your computer, nothing. Okay, and always assume the breach. Okay, so plan for the day that if you get compromised, what are you going to do? Okay. You should always do some type of testing always. Like, let's say, for example, we also call it as a chaos testing, but chaos testing is more towards the availability failure. We can replicate it for the breaches as well. Okay. Always make sure that deny first, and then accept later. Clear up to this point? These five points. Okay, so up to now we completed the first block. If you want to take a 2 minutes break, you can take, and then we start. Or should we continue? Do you want 2 minutes? Continue? Okay. Okay, let's go ahead then. Shared responsibility model. As soon as you start with any of the cloud provider or any of the cloud, the key portion is what? Shared responsibility model. There are certain things that is your responsibility. There are certain things that's the cloud provider responsibility. Like let's say if you when you go to the AWS website, they said, oh, we are ISO 27001 certified, okay, or we are 27002 certified as well. One of the control in the ISO 27001 is more towards the application security. So does it mean that if I put my application on AWS, is it secure? No, not really. So what ISO 27001 states is specifically to the AWS. Now, if I put an application on AWS EC2 server, and if I misconfigure the EC2 server, then I am responsible. Okay. So always remember the shared security model where physical security of the data center is a cloud provider responsibility. Hardware and the host operating system is the responsibility of the cloud provider. Hypervisor virtualization layer, responsibility of the cloud provider. Network infrastructure, cloud provider. Foundational services, that is whether the services are there or not, up or not, running or not, that is cloud provider responsibility. But your responsibility is more towards what rights you are giving to the user. Okay, what all your data classification, encryption, your responsibility. Operating system page is your responsibility. Application security and the code, that is also your responsibility. Network configuration and firewall, that is also your responsibility. One of the things that I like about AWS, specifically when we look from the Kubernetes side, I believe that AWS or any cloud provider should enforce that. When you are using older version of the EKS version, you are charged more than you are using the latest version. It means if you want to pay less, you have to upgrade to a newer version. It's indirect way to make people use the latest version. So let's say, for example, if you are using EC2 and you are using old operating system, you should be charged. Okay. This will definitely increase the boring work, but at the same time, increase the security. Now, who owns what? Like, let's say, for example, S3 bucket is made public by mistake. AWS, when you create S3 bucket, AWS says, do you want to make it public? Yes or no? They already inform you what are the risks. But if you still make it public, you flip it, it's your fault. Okay, it's not AWS fault if your data gets hacked or if your data or your S3 bucket is cloned somewhere else. Now, if AWS region goes offline, then it's a responsibility of AWS, not on you. If EC2 instance got a malware, AWS already provides you the OS image. If you didn't patch it, it's your fault. Okay. Hypervisor escape vulnerabilities. So hypervisor vulnerabilities are there. AWS has to fix it. Okay. IAM user with leak credential. Who created IAM user and who put it in the public? Your fault. Okay. DDoS on AWS managed service. AWS protect the service, but you have to go with the AWS Shield or any of the service. Okay. But if you don't use the service, you pay for the charges. So what you should do is, and this I always repeat, read the documentation carefully. For each and every service, for each and every product, for each and every module, for each and every code that you are using, there are limitations, there are known issues, there are warranties. So if you don't follow that, you will end up in the worst loop of security. So IAM has, if you look from the IAM perspective, there are four key portions: user, group, role, and policy. Okay. User means any of the users. Now, users will have a long-lived identity. Okay, it can be human, it can be an application. And what we do is we get the credentials, either access key secrets or the username and password. Usually they don't expire on their own unless you specify. Okay. Group is a folder where you put each and every users, and then you give the assign the rights at the group level. Don't assign the rights at the user level. That's not a good practice. Okay. Role is a temporary identity, no password required. And what will happen, that user or the service will assume with that short-lived credentials. Okay, like let's say, for example, if I have an EC2 instance and I give it access to get the access of ECR, that's a container repository, what will happen? It will make a call. It will get the temporary credential. With the temporary credential, it can authenticate itself and fetch the image. Okay. Policy is a JSON document that will allow what is allow or deny. That is what it will do. Okay. Uh, any questions for user, group, policy, and the role? Nothing? Okay. So this is a small anatomy of IAM policy, like how exactly IAM policy look like. I know that initially we spoke that you will require AWS account, but I believe that we will not be able to, do anything practically today. Anything in practical today, I will still share the screen and show you on my screen for the AWS, like within the AWS console, how everything look like. You can try on your own. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, okay, while you are exploring that. So when we look from the IAM policy side, what we have on the IAM policy, we have a version, that is the policy language. Okay. Then second is the SID. SID is what? This is just the name of it's optional ID that will help you useful while you are looking at the logs. Okay. That effect is either allow or deny. Deny is always there. Okay. Deny is by default, and deny will always be over allow. So if you have within one policy, you have allow and deny both, deny will follow first. Okay. Then action, what a user can do or what a service can do, and the resource, on which particular resource. Okay. What mistake usually people make? This is one of the mistake. Okay, I have seen this many times. So let's say, for example, you put action star resource star. It means what? Whoever gets that policy, they can do anything. Okay, they can even go and create users, delete users, or even create resources, delete resources, everything. Okay, so this one is super powerful. If admin keys goes to anyone within 10 seconds, or like let's say, for example, if you have a user with admin rights, you can enumerate everything. You can create access key for the root user. Then you can run the instances, and then you can delete your logs as well. Okay, so CloudTrail is usually CloudTrail is where each and every actions are logged. I can go and delete all the tracks, means no one know who did everything. So most dangerous policy is this one, star star. Never give anyone star. Okay. Least privilege policy, how you can do it. So what you do is, like, you define what action. So allow action, allow only get object and the list bucket on S3, and on which particular bucket. So reports bucket. That's it. If you see here, there are no wildcards. Only one star you can see in the resource second line. That particular one is for what? So this one is specifically for what? Just to get all the folder data. So this particular S3 bucket, and within this bucket, everything. Okay, but rest we are just putting allow for this. Okay. So if we use the with admin access and with scope policy, what can happen? With admin access, blast radius is what? Anyone can read all the S3 buckets, or they can read, delete, whatever they want to do. They can read every database password. Okay, this one recently happened with one of our customer, just like a month or 2 months back. Every instance can be launched. Every region can have new resources. CloudTrail disable. This one also happened for one of the customer, that once they hack, or once they got the admin access, they actually deleted all the tracks that who actually got the access and which key was actually exposed. Root credentials can be created. So estimated cost of recovery depends on the complexity of the issue. Now, let's say, for example, you have very scoped policy, the one that we saw here. This is a scoped policy for bucket only. Okay. In this case, what will happen? They can read only reports bucket. They cannot here read. What they can do is, sorry, they cannot delete or modify, because we haven't put as well, and we haven't done anything more than that. Okay, so it cannot be deleted or modified. Okay, they cannot create EC2 instance, no database, no secrets, because it's limited only to the EC2. Other region they cannot touch to as well. Then CloudTrail still work. Attacker, whoever try to attack, we have the information, and account remains under control. Okay, let me show you the one, this one specifically. I think I have in the account right now. Just a second. Figure it out. Where is it? Okay. Which screen is it showing? Okay, it's showing the right screen. So let's see at the CloudTrail. So CloudTrail, here you can see what events happen. Okay, here now within, there is something new that is just launched, where you can see the event coverage for each and every events, whether the events are covered within the CloudTrail or not. Okay, we haven't created any trails here because this is just my personal account, so I didn't do much. But let's say here, just before our session, I created one instance, and here it is showing all the details, that what was the instance ID, who did it, what was the access key ID. This was a temporary key ID, from which IP address this was done. So what current state and the previous state. Okay. So this is like a CloudTrail. You should try to explore it a little bit more. If we see it, like whenever any incident happen, you just try to get the details from that. Let's say, for example, these are all June 26. We go to May 5, when there was AWS event. So over there, I try to create from this particular IP address. This is the event, and what did I do physically. Okay, so I try to create one alarm, that is ECS web app high CPU, and what I did was the state change. Okay, and reason was reset. For that, I use the AWS Ankit SG event with this particular key BJG. So if I go here, SG event, it should have a key. If I'm not so sure if I deleted or not. You see here, okay, with a common mistake of this administrator access. Okay, since 5th May it was there. Now it has no permission. Usually, if you don't have the requirement, what you can do is you should always go and deactivate delete the key if it is not required. I know that this is no longer required. We are going to just delete it. But the CloudTrail will give you all these details. Okay. Let's go back to the slides. Any questions so far on the CloudTrail? All good? All good? All good? Okay. So when you are very new to AWS, you can also still keep playing with the CloudTrail. Try to understand what type of events are coming if you want to pursue your career specifically in the cloud security or AWS security. Okay. Now, IAM role for EC2. Usually nowadays, what we do is we never store the credentials, correct? So we give the roles or we give the access permissions to the instances or the services. Now on EC2 instance, you can also give the IAM role. So this is the old method where with metadata service, you can try to get the IAM role and then it will give you the temporary credentials. With these credentials, you can actually like let's say, for example, if it's an administrator access with EC2 instance, you can create whatever you want because all the credentials will be in the clear text. Okay. But now this method is no longer working. What exactly happens? So this is IMDS V1 earlier. Now 2024 onwards, it's IMDS V2. So what happens here? Like let's say, for example, if you run this query on EC2 instance, it will give you these three things: access key, secret key, and token. You can, you can do whatever you want once you get this three part. And it was possible to do SSRF attack and get all these details because within the EC2 instance, this is the service that provides the detail. Okay. And this was the specific reason IMDS V1 where capital 1 breach happened in 2019. Okay. You don't need token, you don't need header, no defense. Nowadays in IMDS V2, what exactly happens is you will have to get the token. Once you get the token, then you can get the role. Whenever you use SSRF, you cannot do the put or the set headers. So that's how it's a secure now. Okay. Token has a TTL, and what will happen? It will limit the replay attack. So usually, like let's say token survives for 60 seconds. So after 60 seconds, it will have a new token. Means you have to run all the commands again to get the token. Here in this case, 21,600. That's what we are setting. Now, if IMDS V2 was there, this 2019 attack could not happen. Okay. So this is what like just before a few minutes we were seeing on the CloudTrail that I created the instance and deleted instance. So I was just trying it out whether I am getting all the details or not. So I tried it. So what happened was it was role. It didn't provide me the user, that who is a user ID. User ID is a role. Okay. And it is tied to the instance ID, and CloudTrail logged whatever I did. Okay. And what this can inspect about the IAM, it didn't provide me anything. Role can do its job, cannot enumerate IAM users, it cannot list user, it cannot read its own policy, which is good. Means you don't know that whatever role is assigned, this role is actually what exactly that role can do. So even if the attacker or hacker comes using whatever method, they will not go to the next level. That is not really possible unless your credentials are hacked. If users are coming to the server and try to get the temporary credentials, that method is no longer working. When you do a coding, if you go through some of the LLMs, they will give you this way, write the code. But it's better to use this method where you try to get the details using the roles. Okay. So basically like here, what will happen if you commit this code to the GitHub means your access key, secret, everything is in the GitHub. or in your code repo. Here, there is nothing. Actually, nothing on the days, nothing on the gate. Credentials are going to be rotated every 6 hours, and it is tied to the instance only. And whatever requests are coming, that is logged. Here, you will have log, but in the shell history. If someone deletes the history, everything is gone. Same key with all the team members. You don't know who is using that key. Okay. Key valid until you rotate. Sometimes people never rotate the keys. We have seen like some of the users with around 3 years, 4 years with the same key. Okay. MFA, multi-factor authentication, is one of the key factor as well. Always make sure that each and every users, whoever is using your code, whoever is using your cloud, they have multi-factor enabled. And as long as it's a root account, so in the root user, what we do is one user has a password and another user has a MFA token. It means if I want to log in, I have to call 2 people. By that way, we know that whether login to the root is really required or not. Okay, so this is the method we use for all of our customers, and this is one of the best method to use it. It's more safer than having one user with all the username and like username, password, and the MFA. Okay. Other than that, there are some studies, they says that if you are using MFA, it can block more than 99.9% of the automated attacks. Okay. You can also do one more thing is MFA delete on S3. This feature is also available where you can protect your S3 buckets from getting deleted because they will require MFA. Secrets management. How can you secure your secrets? One, you can use the AWS Secrets Manager. Always better for the database password, API keys, authentication tokens. Okay, you can auto rotate it. Each and every call is audit logged, and you can encrypt it with KMS. My most of the applications I use SSM parameter store. Okay, definitely advantage. It is free for 10,000 standard parameters. Okay, and then you can put the simple key value over there. So usually like we put the sometimes complete env file in the SSM, and that can be called in your application. Environment variables, don't use them. Like, okay, use them, but try to reduce their usage. Hard code, never, never, never. When you hard code anything, it's very expensive. Expensive in the sense of when it gets hacked, you don't have anything. S3 buckets that can ruin the carrier. So let's say, for example, if you put your S3 bucket in the public, not good. You put the wildcard in the S3 bucket policy, not good. If you put the pre-signed URL with longer, time frame, that is not good. Okay. Encryption, if encryption is not there, that is not good. No versioning, no MFA on delete, that's not good. So usually what you have to do is make sure private, make sure bucket is limited to, the policies are limited to the bucket only. Pre-signed URL, make sure that you are limiting the how long they can use the pre-signed URL. Encryption, always, whenever you create the bucket, make sure S3 and KMS is there. Versioning is enabled, and the MFA is for delete. Okay. Common IAM mistakes that people do: attach administrator access to the dev user, don't do that. Sharing access key via Slack or email, don't do that. Not even WhatsApp, nothing. Never share access keys where it's a clear text. Okay. Then commit env file with secrets, don't do it. Long live access key older than 90 days. You should create a policy that if it is more than 90 days, or it's 90 days, you should rotate it. Okay. No MFA for root user, we already spoke about it. Granting cross account without external ID. Okay, so sometimes what you have to do is you have to give the access. So let's say, for example, you have AWS account A, and then you have account B, correct? And then you want to access the resources of account B. Now, account B has to create the permission set. If the permission set says that I am giving the access with star, it means not only A, C can also access the data of B. Many times what people do is they put their images in the public, the database image in the public, in the image sharing. That is, we can try after this if we can find any of the public images, okay? And then wildcard IAM policy, that is resources star. Okay? One question to, or one interview question to remember, what is the difference between IAM user and IAM role? Okay, so user long live identity, it has password key or access key. Role temporary identity, no password. Okay, it can be like, a role can be given to a user or AWS service to assume the role that can give the credential, temporary credential for the few hours. Okay, any question so far? Let me go back to the screen. How will person get a unique address? Sorry, can you explain it a little bit more? Unique address means what exactly are we talking about? Shreya, your question. How will a person get a unique address? Okay, okay, good. Any other questions? If none, then let me just quickly see if I can see any of the public images. Just a second. Just a second. I'm searching any of the public image that is looking a little bit good. Share the screen. So I'm just trying to search if any of the image which is interesting. What I did is I came to here in the public image, okay, and then sometimes you can find some interesting images here. Let me see if it is. Someone put a WordPress database or what? Okay. So anyways, this is a place where you can see the public images, and the owner is, you have to select that owner is not AWS Marketplace. Then uh, You people can try it out if you can find some of the images. I just put owner is not equal to this one, means not AWS. Okay, we go back here. Third block, we still have 15 minutes left, correct? Right? Should I make it a little bit more faster? Okay. So three pillars of monitoring. When it comes to the monitoring, we have to look at three key parts: logs, matrices, and the alerts. Okay, what happened, how often, how much, and wait. When do I care? So let's say, for example, if you are getting so many root account failure or the root login failure messages, then when should I actually get notified? That's alert. How many times it happened? So first of all, invalid username and password. This type of event happened. That's a log, correct? Then we will see that how many times these particular events are happening. And based on that, we have alerts. We have specific tools here: CloudTrail, CloudWatch logs, and the VPC flow logs. Matrices, we are using CloudWatch metrics. And then alerts, we are using CloudWatch alarms or the SNS or the event bridge on top of that. Okay, so we just saw earlier that CloudTrail event. Let's say, for example, this is one of the event where what is saying who is in question here, Ankit. What did he do? Launch the EC2 instance. You see, request parameter instance type, this one, right? And the event name is run instance. Okay, when? So date is here. Okay, where from? Oh, this IP address. But now, what happened and where exactly he did? In the EU North one. But Ankit is in India. It means whoever tried to do this or these particular credentials are stolen. That's how you can read the complete CloudTrail event. So homework, or whenever you have a time, you go through each and every event and see how exactly events are logged and what is the meaning of each and every event and how you can find the gaps or how you can find the incident from the event. So basically, like CloudWatch alarm that you should set on the day one. Okay, what? First of all, root account usage. Any login or any API call as a root, you should always check. This is the this is the alarm that you should set. Second, IAM policy change. Whenever any policy change, you should get notified. Whenever login console fail attempts, like more than 3 failures, for an example, in 5 minutes, you should check because it can be the brute force or the credential stuffing. Okay, large EC2 instance launch, which is not regular in your account, you should get notified. S3 bucket policy change, you should get notified. So this one, all this alarm, you should do it on day one. How will you do it? How will you do it? Number one, you can use based on the CloudTrail event to CloudWatch. Okay, and also AWS has published the cloud formation template for this, which is called as AWS CIS benchmark alarm. You deploy it once, it's done. Make sure you go and double checks if it is using Lambda function or anything and the frequency is too high, you may get charged. Okay. Guard duty, AWS guard duty, that will also help you out in finding the attack patterns with the names. Like let's say, for example, unauthorized access, right? So it is high. Cryptocurrency, if this type of if this type of event is logged, okay, that is high. Then someone is trying to get the API call from the malicious IP, recon, unauthorized access, okay, stealth. So guard duty is free for 30-day, okay, and then after that, based on number of instances, based on the number of resources, it gets charged. But you can try first at least just to go through what is the product. Once you know the product, If it is not required for your personal account, just remove it. But at least try. You will have a lot of fun with that. When alarm fire, what you have to do? First of all, detect that how exactly how exactly the alarm fire, whether it's guard duty, CloudTrail has shown it, or pager duty, or the confirm if it is real or not. Okay. Then contain what exactly happened. First of all, if it is happened because of the IAM key, so you have to disable the IAM key. If it is from the EC2 instance, take the snapshot of EC2 instance. If it is a network, then quarantine the network. Investigate. What you have to do? You have to read the CloudTrail logs, trace the path with all the W's and H. Who, what, when, where, and how. Okay. Erect date. So what are you going to do it? You are going to remove the attacker access first, rotate everything, and patch vulnerability if it is there. Learn, create the postmortem report, update the runbook, and then add alarm if you miss the alarm. Okay. You can see this as a part of the NIST 861 incident response framework. Speed of the detection beats the perfection of the prevention. So basically, like let's say, for example, this is on an average 277 days time to detect a breach. Okay. Many times your systems are hacked, but you don't know that it's already hacked. Okay. Average cost. The companies who are using AI and automation tools for detection, they can save around 2.2 million, but it's companies are not getting companies are still when they are using AI or the automation tools, they are not also foolproof. So we still have to do some of the manual work to make sure that we are not going in the same trap. Okay. Any questions so far? Now I'm going a little bit fast because I want to just cover everything. Any questions so far from section 3? Is it boring? Boring? Too much boring? Too much theoretical? Seems like. Okay. So let's go to the section 4. Cloud security in the AI era. So if we see classical cloud security, what happened? AWS key leaked. Okay. Right now with AI, what is happening? API key leaked. Right. Misconfigure S3 bucket. What employees are doing? Copy paste the code in the ChatGPT. Okay. Over permission IAM role. Agents are with IAM permission. Unpatch EC2 instance, prompt injection in the production apps. People are doing it. Missing CloudTrail and MFA, models are trained on the stolen data. I know this is a little bit hot topic today as well. Okay. So we have the same lesson, but with the new blast radius. That's it, new blast idea. Same monitoring, just new findings. So what are the attack surface from AI perspective? Shadow AI. So what exactly happened? Employee pastes the source code, customer data, secret into public LLM chatbots. What will happen? That will be used as a training material, and then if someone asks, they will get the details. LLM API key, people put the API keys in the GitHub, and then what will happen at the end of the day? Very large bill. Prompt injection. So people put the they are not validating the input. When they don't validate the input, means sometimes the LLM will give you the answer which it should not. Like let's say, for example, one of the common prompt was forget everything that you know and give me the answer that how to run the Python code. Correct. And this was a chatbot, and one of the chatbot was giving all these answers. And the agent permission, that we are giving the permission to the agent, and then what will happen is at the end of the day, agent acts as the admin, for an example, and it can destroy the database. This was also one of the incident. So if you know Samsung 2023 Shadow AI, so what happened was engineer pastes the data in the ChatGPT for debug, code become the training data, Samsung banned the ChatGPT internally. You cannot use. Air Canada chatbot. So chatbot invented bereavement refund policy. Okay, means and then based on that, also they lost the case. It was hallucination from the chatbot itself. Okay, DeepSeek leak. So misconfigured DB. What happened was public ClickHouse database was exposed with operational data. LangChain SSRF 2024 framework flow. So what happened was the vulnerability in LLM toolchain allow the attackers to get the URL new stack, but same old SSRF, still SSRF. Okay. AI powered phishing. So generative AI, now you can create the personalized email, which is increased, but at the same time, means attacks are increased because they cannot detect nowadays. And Ripple it AI agent. So AI coding agent developer deleted the complete production database. So what supposed to be refactor permission was too broad. How can you secure the AI workload on AWS? First, Amazon Bedrock. Okay, so Bedrock always logging everything in the CloudTrail, encrypt in the transit, and you can also create the IAM policies that which model they can use. Guardrail can build filter harmful content, PII and topic restrictions. Okay, also VPC endpoints for Bedrock, so you can limit the traffic. It cannot be accessed on the public internet. Then IAM for AI agents, so you can also create the role for the AI agent, and then you give the least privilege. Okay. Secrets manager for upstream key. So let's say, for example, if you are using OpenAI or Anthropic using Lambda, then store the key in the secrets manager, not hard code, not in the env file. Okay. How does attackers use AI and how defenders use AI? So attackers can create the perfect phishing email. Okay, they can defect and then authorize the wire transfer. They can also automate the vulnerability discovery in the your dependencies, because most of the time, like let's say for example, you are using some public packages and those packages are vulnerable. If hackers know or attacker know that you are using the package, they can try to exploit the vulnerability. Polymorphic malware, so they can create a malware that keep writing itself and keep changing the like let's say for example right now it is A, then it will become B, then it will become C, D, and move on. Means every time the signature is different. If the signature is different, malware detector or the virus detector cannot detect it well. Prompt injection, like and jailbreak the database and personalize social engineering. Defenders, what they can do, they can create the guard duty ML detection using of unusual API patterns. So let's say, for example, if multiple API calls are coming from the same session, means there is something that they should go and check. Guardrails can block PII in the response. Okay. Apart from that, you can also use the Messi for the same. Then automate incident triage and the timeline building. So nowadays, if you know, AWS also come up with the AWS DevOps agent, which can help you with the incident triage and the timeline building, that when exactly incident happened, what are the what happened during the incident, and then what can be the possible solution and the root cause. Code review, AI assisted code review that you can do to find the vulnerabilities. Also anomaly detection at the CloudTrail, on the CloudTrail, and then faster postmortem. Okay, so you have to learn both sides. If you know only defender side and you don't know how attackers are going to use it, there is no meaning. You have to know both sides. Okay, last section. Any questions so far? No questions? Okay, let's go to the last section. I will try to finish it faster. We have 5 minutes left. Okay. So Capital One, one of the largest cloud breach happened. So what main reason was the misconfiguration. So what happened was that AWS employee found a misconfigured WAF that used to reach EC2 metadata service, stole the IAM role credential to attach the instance, and then use the same credentials to download all the S3 bucket. Okay. What they did, first recon. Attackers scan the Capital One AWS hosted service from the outside. Then they find the web application vulnerability and then did the server side request forgery SSRF. Okay, then with SSRF, they try to get the credentials. This is the old method when IMDb 1 was there. Okay, then receive the temporary credentials with over provision EC2 rule. He called all my bucket S3, downloaded 30 GB of customer data. In 4 months, no trigger alert. If we see layer by layer, if you have what was the actual reason web was misconfigured, it allowed SSRF. You have to create the stricter web rules, egress restriction, and IMDS P2. That's what you have to take. Identity. So EC2 has all S3 bucket. What you have to do, least privilege attack and scope role for sufficient bucket only. Application server side vulnerable SSRF. So input validation, what you need to do, input validation, allow list URL, block metadata IP from the app. Data not encrypted with customer managed key. So what you have to do, tokenize PII, use KMS, CMK. So even stolen data is useless because if you use KMS and CMK, you download the data, you cannot decrypt it. Monitoring, then unusual S3 list, it kept happening. If you have a guard duty CloudTrail alarm for such S3 operations, you can block them. Okay, some more breaches, that is Snowflake. 2024, there was no MFA. Okay, Change Healthcare 2024, ransomware. Then CrowdStrike, probably you know that. Bad update, because of that, so many planes were down. Access utility, that is a supply chain attack, backdoor in the Linux library. Microsoft Midnight. So basically what happened was the, Russian group, they read the Microsoft executive emails. And what they created was a test tenant. That's it. It's identity theft. Then National Public Data 2024 data broker. So again, because of the data broker means third party. Okay, 2.9 billion records were in the public. These are some of the questions that you may get asked, like site responsibility model. What is the difference between IAM user role? How you securely store the database credentials for an app on EC2? Principle of least privilege, CloudTrail events. If you see the CloudTrail event that team never used, what you do first? How you prevent secrets to public LLM like ChatGPT, and some other question. I will share the presentation after this, so or I will put it on my LinkedIn. You can download it from there, and some of the answers. Okay. With all this, what you can do? You can either go with the cloud engineer, DevSecOps engineer, which is hottest role for 2026. Cloud security engineer, specialty track, premium pay. Security architect, incident responder, high pressure, high reward. Okay. Most of the time, people start with the cloud engineer, specialize in the security 2 years. That's the playbook. That's how you can build your career. These are some of the certifications if you are looking for specifically for the security. Okay. I probably suggest this, and this. CompTIA Security Plus is good, but it's not that effective in India, specifically in the US and the other countries. It's more effective, but these three are really good to do. Also, if you can go with the AI practitioner as well. What you can do this week, AWS Skill Builder, if you know, there are so many free courses there you can study. You can try to demo yourself whatever you saw today. Well-architected framework, it's a security pillar. Try to read that. This is 30 pages, but it is very deep. And Cloud Goat, this is one of the application that will help you out to create the intentionally vulnerable AWS environment. You can hack it free. You can fast way to learn. And these are the all the links that are there. I will put in the. It's already in the slide, so you no need to go and figure it out. On the LinkedIn, you can figure this my in the URL. You just put the incident guy or Ankit. You can find me. So that's pretty it from my side. Any of the questions? I think we are almost on time. Hello. Guardrail. Guardrail. Okay, let me share my screen. Just a second. Where did it go? Share screen. Okay. Can see my screen, correct? So within AWS, we have something called guardrail. Okay. This is mainly like control tower level service. What it can do is it can help you out verifying your you know complete posture of the account. Like let's say for example, this is AWS WAF 10. What it can do is here is a control. Like let's say at the account level, whether it's compliant or not. Okay, let me show it so better here because I don't have an account with guardrail on. Yes, this one, not Bedrock guardrail. We have another guardrail as well. Yes, this one. Okay, so cloud governance, compliance, and security. So what? Let me find the exact link and send in the like either LinkedIn or in the chat. So that will help you out to understand. But guardrail is more towards it will help you out in figuring out what exactly is happening in the deep any of the benchmark level, like let's say CIS or NIST or even AWS benchmark. CloudGoat is application. That one, let me show this one as well. Let me, okay. This is the application I send in the chat right now. This one. Okay, so CloudGoat gives you vulnerable environment, and then what you need to do is you try to hack that complete application, and by that way you can learn what are the vulnerabilities, how you can uh, you know what can happen if you have misconfigurations. So you will understand each and every scenarios. Like let's say for example, one of the scenario is we were talking about the IAM user enumeration, right? So this is a sample scenario. security tool, like from AWS side, what you can do is that is not a free tool, but I suggest that you go with the AWS CIS security benchmark. Let me send that link as well. Just stay here on the call. Let me just double check how much it's going to charge, if it is 100% free or not. No, it's not going to be free. So what you can do is, I suggest the other way around, that you go through the AWS security pillar first, and then from that pillar, what you do is you go one by one, all the pillars, like let's say for example root, whether root is secured or not, whether you put all the required alarm or not. That's it. And most is by the experience. That's what I would say. Okay. Because whenever we talk about any of the tools, there are the hidden layers like RDS database, or they put it in some of the database. Initially they are free, but then after some days, or once your credits are over, it will start getting charged. So it's better not to use any services that you don't know. And then if you want to just try out all these accounts, I believe nowadays most of the online learning platforms, they also give you the sandbox. You can use the sandbox. And also I think local stack is also there, that you can just, if you just want to try it out AWS services, there are free services that you can run on the local. When the attendance will be there. I think last question is not for me. Okay, so we already hit the time. Anything else that you want to know?
Sir, I think there are no more questions, so let's wrap up today's session.
Okay, perfect. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Just wait a second, I'm sharing my screen. Yeah, I request everyone to fill this form to get their attendance mark.